The countryside had always been a place where boundaries were marked not by fences but by trust. Rolling fields stretched as far as the eye could see, dotted with weathered barns, the scent of soil and hay lingering in the wind. For decades, families here lived by an unspoken rule: respect your neighbor, mind your land, and let the earth reward your work. It was an ecosystem of mutual independence, until the day the new development arrived. It began with a sign. A large wooden board appeared at the end of the old county road, declaring the area under the jurisdiction of the Oak Ridge Estates Homeowners Association. To the farmers, it looked absurd. The HOA had been formed to regulate a newly constructed set of luxury homes on the hill, a mile away from the farmland. But over time, its reach began to stretch out, first into the adjacent lots, then toward the open field. They said it was for community integrity, but those who lived beyond the gates saw it for what it was: control. Among those farmers was a man named Eli Barrett, a quiet and calculating landowner who had lived on the same patch of earth his grandfather once tilled. Eli had no interest in drama, no desire to make waves, but when the HOA sent a notice claiming that his property violated aesthetic standards due to his old red barn, he knew something darker was brewing. The letter came with threats of fines, citations, and legal enforcement if necessary. At first, Eli ignored it, but more letters came. Then a visit. A pair of HOA board members dressed in tailored suits arrived in shiny SUVs that looked out of place on the dirt road. They walked his property clipboards, snapping photos of his barn, his tractor, even his mailbox. When Eli asked under what authority they were doing this, they smiled politely and said the county had expanded the HOA's jurisdiction for the betterment of the area. In truth, the HOA had filed quiet amendments with the local planning documents full of legal jargon that rural residents would ever bother to read. They had used loopholes, bribed officials, and bought influence. And now they claimed dominion over hundreds of acres of private farm that had never agreed to their governance. Within months, fines began piling up for trivial violation: a hay bale stacked too close to the road, a shed painted an unappropriate shade of red, a rooster crowing before 6 a.m. For families who had lived on this land for generations, it was an assault not just on their rights but on their way of life. Eli watched as his neighbors struggled. Some paid the fines out of fear, others fought back and were dragged into court by the HOA's lawyer. One by one, they began to lose. The HOA wasn't just enforcing rules, they were acquiring power. Every lien, every judgment gave them leverage, and with leverage came control. But Eli was different. He had a calmness that disguised a strategic mind. Before his days on the farm, he had been an IT specialist, a man